You live here in Douglas. Douglas has been part of your life always.
Always.
What is Douglas to you?
Well, Douglas is more, it's more than just a home. You know, it's a community. It's, for example, you know, here in Douglas, someone's hurting for various reasons because of an accident, a death. The community rallies together to support those families, whoever they may be. Sometimes we don't even know them. We don't have a, you know, that personal touch, but we all rally together to help. Most activities that we do here in Douglas, everybody helps out. You'll notice if you look on Facebook, for those that do, something's happening, go, okay, well, I'll donate this, I'll do this, I'll do that. There's many different organizations that overlap, but they're trying to help, and that's what we all try to do in Douglas. So we're a nurturing community with a lot of history. I know the city of Douglas is going to focus a lot on that because we do get a lot of visitors, and not just visitors, people that lived here, moved away, and are coming back. They're coming back from California, from all over. Why? Because they want that small town mentality where we all help each other, we all take care of each other. And I think that's an important part. You know, my children, I only have one daughter, I have 5 children, but only one that lives here. And my children keep saying things like, oh, Mom, you're gonna have to move to Phoenix, you're gonna have to move to Tucson, to where they are. And they now know that we're not moving, we're staying here. So yes, this is just, I love it here.
We've chatted over the phone. We've talked about different headlines, what it is to be a city, a border city, how you've seen the landscape here, even with your business. If you were to describe Douglas to somebody that doesn't live here, how would you describe the lifestyle?
It's a calm lifestyle. You don't take hours to get from point A to point B. In fact, within 5 minutes, you're from point A to point B. People here drive less than, you know, maybe 30 miles an hour. It's not rushing to get to places like your doctor's appointments, to school. There's no need for that. Let's see, what else? You can normally find everything you need here. Yes, there's some things we don't have. We don't have a hospital. But let's focus on the positive things that we do have. And the positive things are, you have family, you have friends, and if you need, for instance, you can't drive anymore to Tucson, there's always somebody who offers to do it for you. And so it's a small, nurturing community that takes care of each other.
It sounds like a very knitted community, very tight, close.
Yeah, we are.
How would you describe the safety here?
Well, you know, our chief of police gave us a report not too long ago to the merchants. And if you compare numbers to numbers, okay? Because I heard somebody say that this was the unsafest community. That's totally misconstrued. Because if you look at the percentage of people that live in Douglas versus the number of people that live in Tucson per capita, no. We have a very small percentage of incidents. You know, like shootings, very minute here. You know, we don't have the things that happen in the bigger cities. So no, it's not true. I'm gonna be very honest, many times my car's unlocked, so's my home, because we still have that mentality. It's not like it, you know, like in Tucson, you walk in, you're checking, you have your keys in your hand, you're ready. You're always on the defensive. I'm not in the defensive. Downtown here, I can't even tell you when was when somebody broke into one of the businesses here in town. You know, we stay late, and all the merchants here will stay late and stuff. The police years ago used to walk down, you know, and check on your buildings. They don't do that anymore. And we've asked, you know, because really we haven't had a need for it. So no, is it safe? Yes, very safe. And you know, it's a saying that we have from our grandparents that used to tell us, tell me who you hang around with. And that's a lot of the truth. Who you hang around with has a lot to do. If we're not involved in any of the illegal stuff, we're in the safe place. And we are. Douglas is a safe community.
When you and I talk about Douglas, you sound so passionate and moved when you speak about your community. Why is that?
Growing up in Douglas, you know, I grew up in a poor family, a single family. My mother worked really hard to support 5 kids. So my mother had to work all the time. She wasn't privy to take off the day to go to school because we had something, presentation, whatever. It just didn't work out for me that way, for me personally. But I had a neighbor. She was white. She did that. And that's what, to me, is all about Douglas. She saw need, and she filled the void. It brings back a lot of memories, and I'm sorry, but they're fond memories. They're not sad memories. They're good memories of people who loved me enough to encourage me to finish school, to move forward. Well, that's the type of community we have. We spoke about Jenny. She's another one of those Douglasites who isn't just about her, it's about we. And that's what we want. And that's what Douglas is all about. It's not, I'm a retired teacher, school counselor. I want to give back to my community because my community helped me to be who I am. And it wasn't just when I was a little girl. It was throughout my career. The people I worked with, the teachers I worked with. It takes, that saying, it takes a village. It really does, mija. And to me, it takes a community. And I keep telling people here in Douglas, because when I speak with the younger generation, many of them say things like, well, I'm busy, or I can't. And I think I shared this with you. I remember when I was in 5th grade, we kept learning about President Kennedy saying, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Well, I think it's time that we say, let's not ask what the city can do for us. Because we're constantly saying, well, the city doesn't do this, the city doesn't do that. Well, I think it's time that the community members here, and I'm talking about the younger generation, not so much, the me generation, that they step up because they need to do more. Why? Because they have the new ideas. We've worked hard, and I believe we have, and I believe we've continued to work hard to provide, to build our community. Now it's a sense that we need the younger generation to step up to the plate and give back to the community and not ask, what is the city going to do for me? But what can I do? How can I help the city? I personally would not run for office because I feel that, I'm at that, in the mature age, where I think my mind is not as sharp as the younger generation. And they have great ideas, new ideas. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we can adjust the wheel. A little twerk here, a little twerk there. And we can do so many great things for the community of Douglas. Douglas is growing. It's not going to die. I hear many people in Douglas say things like, oh, it's dying. We don't do this. We don't do that. And we use the word we, but really we're expecting the city to do it all for us. And it doesn't quite work that way. We have to do some of it ourselves too. And you can see that there's many people in the community that they're rallying up, they're doing stuff, they're opening stores, they're investing money. They're coming because they know that it's coming and we need to be prepared. We need to be in front of that 8 ball, not behind it.
And you are president of a special association here in Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that?
The Douglas Merchants Association. And like I said earlier, we've been involved in doing the activities downtown. And we bring food trucks, we do music, different activities. And I want to say the city supports us with these activities. And we do the planning and getting, we want to plan another activity. Because of the winter, we couldn't. And we're planning another one. And I want to say the support of the community, you know, the dance studios that come and perform, the high school students, the bands that perform for us. It's a community event. It's a lot of us working together to accomplish, you know, goals.
What does it mean for you to be a business owner right here on a border city?
What does it mean? Number one, I'm going to tell you, I love to help my customers. I love to help people feel good about themselves. It's not just about the sale, it's about the customer service. I was brought up that way. I grew up working in stores from a very early age. But customer service is real important to me. And fulfilling the dream of the girl that's going to a prom, fulfilling the dream of the mother, that's the mother of the bride, or, you know, mother of the groom. Those are important things for me. But more so, it's also working with the dual communities. You know, I shared with you before, Douglas and Agua Prieta are very close-knit together. I don't see Douglas as one entity and Agua Prieta as another. I see us as one, that we are united, and we need to think that way. You know, I was at one of the meetings with the city about the 10-year plan that they had, and a gentleman, Mr. Alan Manquero, also a businessman, he said something that, oh my gosh, you know, he warmed my heart, because I agree with him 100%. He said, when you come to Douglas, you have a greeting that says, welcome to Douglas. But the people from Mexico that come to Douglas, there's nothing there. And we should say, welcome, bienvenidos a Douglas, because we are. You know, like when we go over there, many families come and do their shopping over there. Well, many Mexican families come over here and do shopping here. I'm not going to say it's 80% of my sales, but a good 50% of my sales come from Mexico. So it's 50-50, it's half, you know. So no, we need to work on our relationship with our Mexican counterparts, because I think it is important. We depend on them, and we also depend with the people from here, that they shop locally, that they come and visit the stores. That's why we do the Energized Douglas, because you hear some people say things, oh, we don't have that. But they haven't shopped downtown. They haven't seen what is here and what is available. And like I said, people are investing into the shops here in Douglas. They're renovating the buildings, fixing them up, and very competitive.
You mentioned something very important, local, and a community that expands from Douglas to Agua Prieta. Some people that don't live in a city like the one we're in today, they may not understand that connection, that community, or those business ties.
And it's not just business ties, Mija, it's family ties. Most families, they reside in the United States, but their grandparents, their uncles or tios, they live in Agua Prieta. So it's like, they're like this. I mean, that's why people complain. Why is it that they don't speak fluent English? Well, and I'll tell you why. Because the Mexican culture is, you live in Douglas, but then on Saturday or Friday, you go to AP and you're with your grandparents, your aunts and uncles. What do you think they speak? Spanish. So when they come back, it's really, you know, again, familiarizing, oh, it's English, you know, and thinking. And so it's a beauty. I don't think we should look at it as a negative, but a positive, because we're learning not one, but two languages. And you know, we've always taught that two is better than one. So I really believe that we need to embrace it and not look at it as a negative. For those people that think that living on the border is something horrible, that it's all about drugs and stuff like that, and that isn't true. I worked in Fort Huachuca on the accommodation schools there. I worked there for many years as a school counselor. I can't tell you how many of the co-workers would come to Mexico to do their dental work, their shopping, medicines, and minor surgeries and stuff, they go to Mexico because you get the service, which is one, and the price. So, you know, for those that do not know and they judge, they need to come and visit. You know how they say that one day in the life of a Mexican? Well, one day in the life of visiting Mexico, because they criticize or they critique without having an experience, without really knowing. And I can say that because many, many tourists that come and they ask, is it safe? Do you think we can travel? And they travel, they do tours, and it's not at all like what we had heard. That's the type of information they take back. So I really encourage people, come and visit, see what it's really like. Visit Douglas. There's so much history, Douglas, but there's history in Mexico too. And we are one. We can't separate one from the other. We're connected. Whether it's by families, by our shopping, and by our needs. Mm-hmm.
When somebody sees this interview, sees this story, what do you hope they take from it, from Douglas, from you? Well,
first, I hope they take that Douglas is a beautiful community. It really is. It offers a lot. It really does. And the only way that you're going to learn is not by me, but coming and visiting. You know, you're doing a vision of the Gadsden Hotel, and I tell people, the Gadsden Hotel is not the only icon. We have the Wall of Faces. We have the airport. We have the International Airport. We have the Williams House. We have so many, and those are just a few. The trolley that was here, the history of Douglas, and the black soldiers, you know, the history. There's just so many other things that I wish I could just name everything down and give you a list. But there's so much and such beautiful, the architecture here, our buildings, the history of who started our building, our community, how it got started, and how it's evolved, because we haven't stayed stagnant. Douglas has been changing and evolving. And it's in one of those stages right now where we are evolving. And so what I wish they would take is come visit, come see what it is. And don't listen to a little old lady, but come and see. There's so much for you to learn. And the food, the opportunities, it's here. But you need to look.